Imagine walking into a hospital room and meeting a woman who remembers the Wright brothers' first flight, lived through 2 world wars, and watched humanity land on the moon. Now imagine discovering that her body is aging slower than yours, despite being born over a century ago. This isn't science fiction. This is the reality researchers found when they began studying the extraordinary people of Okinawa, Japan. What they discovered would challenge everything we thought we knew about human aging and reveal that some people possess what can only be described as a biological superpower: the ability to manipulate time itself at the cellular level. In the summer of 2003, Dr. Bradley Wilcox arrived in Okinawa with a simple mission: to document the lifestyle habits of the world's oldest people. What he found instead was a scientific anomaly that would consume the next 2 decades of his career and revolutionize our understanding of human potential. The first person he studied was Kamado Hongo, then 115 years old. Standard medical wisdom suggested that someone her age should be barely functional, confined to a bed, with multiple organ failures and severe cognitive decline. Instead, Dr. Wilcox found a woman who could still thread a needle without glasses, remembered complex family genealogies spanning 4 generations, and displayed the cardiovascular health of someone 60 years younger. But Kamado wasn't unique in Okinawa. Island after island revealed centenarians who defied biological logic. Ushi Okashima, at 105, was still tending her vegetable garden daily and could outwork men half her age. Shigeki Hinohara continued practicing medicine until he was 103, seeing patients and performing complex diagnoses with razor-sharp mental acuity. The numbers were staggering. Okinawa had 740 centenarians per million people, 5 times the rate found anywhere else on Earth. But it wasn't just the quantity, it was the quality of their aging that stopped scientists in their tracks. These weren't frail survivors barely clinging to life. They were vibrant, active individuals who seemed to have discovered a cheat code for human biology. Initial studies focused on the obvious suspects: diet, exercise, social connections. The Okinawan diet was rich in vegetables and fish, low in calories, and they practiced hara hachi-biyu, eating until only 80% full. They maintained strong community bonds and had a concept called ikigai, a reason for being that gave their lives profound meaning. But as researchers dug deeper, they realized these lifestyle factors, while important, couldn't fully explain the magnitude of what they were observing. Blood tests revealed impossible readings. Cholesterol levels that should have been lethal were somehow protective. Inflammatory markers that typically skyrocket with age remained at youthful levels. Most shocking of all, their telomeres, the protective caps on chromosomes that shorten with age, were maintaining lengths that suggested these people were aging at roughly half the normal rate. Dr. Nir Barzilai of the Albert Einstein College of Medicine began conducting genetic analyses that revealed the first clues to what was really happening. The Okinawan centenarians possessed unique variations of genes that regulated cellular repair, inflammation, and metabolism. But these weren't just random beneficial mutations. They appeared to be part of a coordinated biological system that had somehow learned to slow down the aging process itself. The breakthrough came when researchers discovered that centenarian cells were producing extraordinarily high levels of an enzyme called telomerase, which rebuilds telomeres. In normal humans, telomerase activity drops dramatically after childhood. In Okinawan centenarians, it remained active at levels comparable to young adults well into their 2nd century of life. But telomerase was just the beginning. Advanced genomic sequencing revealed that these individuals had activated what scientists began calling longevity pathways, complex biological networks that most humans never fully access. Their cells were operating in a state that researchers termed biological time dilation, where the normal mechanisms of aging were somehow running in slow motion. Dr. Walter Longo's research at USC revealed even more extraordinary findings. The centenarians' bodies were producing proteins that actively repaired DNA damage, cleared out damaged cellular components, and maintained mitochondrial function at optimal levels. They had essentially developed biological mechanisms that kept their bodies in a state of perpetual maintenance and repair. Perhaps most remarkable was the discovery of what researchers called antagonistic pleiotropy reversal. In normal aging, genes that provide benefits in youth often become harmful later in life. But in the Okinawan centenarians, this process appeared to be reversed. Genes that should have been causing age-related decline were instead providing continued protection and enhancement. Neurological studies conducted by Dr. Kawas at UC Irvine revealed that many centenarians weren't just maintaining their cognitive abilities, they were actually improving them. Brain scans showed increased connectivity in regions associated with wisdom, emotional regulation, and complex problem-solving. Their brains were literally rewiring themselves to become more efficient with age. This led to one of the most startling discoveries. Some centenarians displayed enhanced pattern recognition, improved emotional intelligence, and what researchers called crystallized optimization, the ability to access and process decades of accumulated knowledge with increasing efficiency. They weren't just aging well, they were developing cognitive superpowers. Recent studies have documented even more extraordinary cases. Jiroemon Kimura, who lived to 116, showed cellular regeneration patterns typically seen in people 70 years younger. His muscle tissue was rebuilding itself, his organ systems were maintaining optimal function, and his immune system was operating at peak efficiency despite his advanced age. Researchers began studying the environmental and cultural factors that might trigger these biological superpowers. They discovered that Okinawan society created unique conditions: chronic mild stress that activated beneficial cellular responses, strong social networks that reduced harmful stress hormones, and cultural practices that maintained purpose and meaning throughout life. The concept of hormesis, beneficial stress that strengthens biological systems, appeared to be key. The traditional Okinawan lifestyle created just enough challenge to keep cellular repair mechanisms highly active without overwhelming them. It was like maintaining a car by driving it regularly but never racing it. But the most intriguing discovery was that these longevity mechanisms weren't unique to genetics. Studies of Okinawan immigrants who maintained traditional practices showed similar, though less pronounced, effects. This suggested that the longevity superpower might be accessible to anyone willing to create the right conditions. Current research is focusing on what scientists call longevity switches, specific biological pathways that can be activated through targeted interventions. Preliminary studies suggest that combinations of intermittent fasting, specific types of stress, social connection, and purpose-driven living can begin activating these pathways in people of any age. Dr. David Sinclair's lab at Harvard has identified compounds that can artificially activate some of these longevity pathways. Early trials suggest it might be possible to trigger the same cellular repair mechanisms that Okinawan centenarians naturally possess. The implications are staggering. We might be looking at the first generation of humans who could routinely live healthy, vibrant lives well beyond 100 years. But this research raises profound questions about the future of humanity. If we can unlock these biological superpowers, what happens to society when healthy lifespans extend to 150 or 200 years? How do we prevent the creation of two classes of humans, the enhanced long-lived and the normal-lived? What are the psychological and social implications of watching multiple generations of descendants while remaining physically and mentally vital? The Okinawan centenarians have shown us that the boundaries of human potential are far more flexible than we ever imagined. They've demonstrated that aging, which we've always accepted as an inevitable biological law, might actually be more like a default setting that can be overridden under the right conditions. Their secret isn't just about living longer. It's about revealing that human biology contains hidden capabilities that we're only beginning to understand. They've shown us that the line between normal human ability and what we might consider supernatural is thinner than we ever dared to believe. As we stand on the threshold of potentially unlocking these biological superpowers for everyone, we must ask ourselves, are we ready for a world where aging becomes optional? The Centenarians of Okinawa have given us a glimpse of what's possible. The question now is whether we have the wisdom to use this knowledge responsibly. The secret of the Japanese people who live over 100 years isn't just their longevity. It's their revelation that human beings possess untapped biological potential that could fundamentally change what it means to be human. They've shown us the future of our species, and it's more extraordinary than we ever imagined.